The rowing New South Wales Reindeer Regatta Day 2. We have an hour and a half block of racing today before about a half-hour break, and then we'll kick off with the New South Wales Sprint Championships. But racing is underway. Race 96. It's the first division of the Women's Masters Single Scull. The field that we have: Glebe Audrey Lejeune in lane number 1, Mossman Jem Lambert in lane 2, Belindy Rowe from Glebe in lane 3, Adriana Guthrie of Drummoyne in lane 4, Nikki Lepresti of Leichhardt in lane 5, Kirsten Berry from Lake Macquarie in lane 6, Olivia Tonge of North Shore in lane 7, Anne Skilton of Glebe in lane 8, and Jacqueline Harris of Glebe in lane 9. So the front markers started on this side of the course. Skilton and Harris, they were both off go. And then from lanes 7 to 3, all off 3 seconds. And the two back markers, Audrey Lejeune and Jem Lambert over on the far side of the course, started off 5 seconds. So it's about 450 metres covered by the leading scullers on this side. We have Jacqueline Harris of Glebe, Olivia Tonge of North Shore starting to lead out. In fact, there's a good bunch of about 4 or 5 scullers there still in the mix as they start to make their way through the 1500 metre mark. So Harris and Tonge fighting it out, and I'm seeing the scullers over on the far side of the course. Belindy Rowe of Glebe, Jem Lambert of Mossman, and Audrey Lejeune of Glebe just passing through that 1500 metre mark, which is the halfway mark for these 1,000 metre races. Perfect conditions here at the Sydney National Regatta Centre. As we're looking at Olivia Tonge of North Shore, coached by Guy Morgan. Olivia started rowing at Drummoyne Rowing Club. She was Olivia Reid as a junior, New South Wales junior sculling champion in her younger days, and has come back to the sport in the last handful of years and always there or thereabouts. But Jackie Harris looks to have a slight advantage over Tonge. And then we go to Nikki Lepresti in the centre of the course, and trying to move with her is Kirsten Berry of Lake Macquarie and Anne Skilton of Glebe. So it's the 5 scullers on this side of the course that are really tussling it out. And Jackie Harris still looks like she's got about boat length advantage. Nikki Lepresti pushing through in the latter stage of this one. She was second at the Australian Masters in the women's B single scull behind 2008 Olympian Zoe Lynham. And still carrying on this good form just 6 months later. So Nikki Lepresti in second spot, Tonge in third, followed by Skilton in fourth place, Kirsten Berry in fifth in the new Lake Macquarie Zoot Suit. It looks as though Jackie Harris is going to hold on this side of the course. He's coming into the finish still over a length's advantage from Nikki Lepresti, and it will be the sculler in lane 9, Jackie Harris, that takes out Division 1 of the Women's Masters Single Scull. Second, Nikki Lepresti of Leichhardt. Olivia Tonge of North Shore is third. In the race for fourth, Anne Skilton, still only half a length ahead of Kirsten Berry. They'll be fourth and fifth respectively. Sixth to go to Lambert of Mossman, and then followed by the 2 Glebe scullers, Belindy Rowe in 7th, Audrey Lejeune in 8th, and Adriana Guthrie of Drummoyne will complete a full field of 9. The unofficial time about 4 minutes 14 for Jackie Harris in taking out Division 1 of the Women's Masters Single Scull. That'll get adjusted. In the meantime, race 97, Division 2 of the Women's Masters Single Scull is on the course. 2 back markers over on the far side. Leichhardt's Daniela Borgert in lane 1, Katrina Davis of Shoalhaven in lane 2, And then we have lane 3 left vacant from a scratching from Lake Macquarie, Serena Spencer. Kate Wareham of Glebe is in lane 4. Trudy McDonald of Lake Macquarie in lane 5. Zeta Briones of North Shore in lane 6. Janine Donovan of Drummoyne in 7. Edith de Boer of Mossman in lane 8. And Julie Underwood from Corowa in lane number 9. So these scullers just coming through the first 500 metre mark. And Trudy McDonald looking very strong in the centre of the course, and Julie Underwood trying to go with her. And then a couple of lanes across we have Janine Donovan of Drummoyne, and over on the far side of the course Katrina Davis making a fair bit of headway. The 2 back markers started off 5 seconds and the others all off go. And we'll see if Katrina Davis, very, very powerful sculler, can try and reel in the advantage that Trudy McDonald has built up in those early stages of this one. So 650, nearly 700 metres covered now, and Trudy McDonald still with the advantage. Has a bit of a glance over this side of the course. See where Julie Underwood of Corowa is in the red, black and white colours of the club on the border of New South Wales and Victoria, coached by Wesley Canny. And Katrina Davis has moved a little bit. Some of that 5 seconds has been clawed back, but still with a fair bit to do in this last couple of 100 metres. Trudy McDonald looking very strong. Underwood trying to lift her rate on this side of the course. Looks to be between those 3. In lane number 6, we have Zeta Briones, the world champion in the women's lightweight quad from a couple of decades ago. Currently in about 5th position, just ahead of her, Janine Donovan of Drummoyne. Over on the far side of the course, Daniela Borgett also starting to make her way up into the top 5 of this one. And Katrina Davis, those powerful strokes, just trying to cut that deficit down a little bit. But Trudy McDonald, coached by Oda McIntosh, will take the win for Lake Macquarie Rowing Club. Second goes to Katrina Davis of Shoalhaven, just ahead of Julie Underwood of Corowa. And then Janine Donovan of Drummoyne will be 4th, followed by Daniela Borgett of Leichhardt in 5th. Zeta Briones of North Shore will be next in 6th place, followed by Edith de Boer of Mossman in 7th, and Kate Wareham of Glebe in 8th place. So results of race 96 are made official. Jacqueline Harris taking the win in 4 minutes 13.76, 3.02 seconds ahead of Nikki Lepresti of Leichhardt, and Olivia Tonge of North Shore in 3rd, a further 5.4 seconds back. Unofficial time for Trudy McDonald, 4:07.58. And taking out the 2nd division of the Women's Masters single scull. And now we move to presentations for race 96, Division 1 of the Women's Masters single scull. And the winner representing Glebe Rowing Club, Jacqueline Harris. Race 98 on the start line, and that is the 3rd division of the Women's Masters single scull. We have in lane 1 representing St George, Joanne Ward. In lane 2 from North Shore, Louise McCoach. Lane 3 from Drummoyne, Renata Ipma. Lane 4 from Newcastle University Boat Club, Jules Bosco. In lane 5, Anne Harkham from Lake Macquarie, Ruth Gibson. Scratching out of lane 6 from North Shore. Lane 7, Drummoyne's Kathleen Hextall. And in lane 8, Kristan Foxton, who's moved across from Mossman to join Leichhardt during this season. In lane number 8, these are all E category Masters scullers, so there's no age-based handicaps in this division, as we have seen in the previous two. So all the starters starting off together. Off go. That was Kristan Foxton on camera there, and then we panned across to Kathleen Hextell. These scullers now moving through around about 250 metres covered. And Renata Ipmar has moved away well, along with her Drummoyne counterpart Kathleen Hextell. Further 4 lanes across on the grandstand side of the course. And we now move to presentation for race 97, Division 2 of the Women's Masters Single Scull, and that was won by Lake Macquarie Rowing Club's Trudy McDonald. Trudy coached by Odin McIntosh. About 450 metres covered now in race 98, Division 3 of the Women's Masters Single Scull. And it's Renata Ipmar and Kathleen Hextell who towards the front of this race. You can see Renata Ipmar there with the Balmain Blades, a recent transfer across during the season to Drummoyne. And having a good tussle there with a double sculling partner, Kathleen Hextell. And over in lane number 1, Joanne Ward of St George, coached by the evergreen Bruce Williams. Next in third, followed by Louise McCoach of North Shore. And then back to Anne Harkham of Lake Macquarie, Jules Bosco of Newcastle University, and Kristan Foxton of Leichhardt. So a field of 7 here. Ipmar and Hextell had a very adventurous head of the Yarra with a lot of incidents in their race down there, so they'll be enjoying the fact they're back on an Albano course and none of those clashes to worry about in this one. You can just see what their straight line speed's all about. And Hextell's started to make a bit of a push here in this third 250 as these two continue to just eke away an advantage over the rest of the field, with Joanne Ward over in lane 1 in third spot and Harkham next. It's been a pretty decent third 250 from Kristan Foxton as she tries to work her way up from 6th place into 5th and try and even improve on that as well. But just under 200 metres to go. Renata Ipmar looking pretty tall and strong. Having this great tussle with Kathleen Hextell. 4 lanes apart. It is the sculler that was born in the Netherlands, Renata Ipmar, that leads this race. Has about a boat length advantage. It's been cut down a little bit by Hextell as they come into the last 100 metres. Louise McCoach finishing this one off very strongly indeed. She's starting to a good tussle with Anne Harkham of Lake Macquarie, and they're pushing up on Joanne Ward, so third place definitely up for grabs in this one. First place though is going to go to Renata Ipmar of Drummoyne, coached by Robin Mackney. Second also Drummoyne, Kathleen Hextell, coached by Rob Glendenning and Robin Mackney. In that great race for third, Joanne Ward is going to hang on over on the far side of the course, just ahead of Louise McCoach in 4th. 5th goes to Anne Harkham of Lake Macquarie. Kristan Foxton of Leichhardt is 6th. And Jules Bosco of Newcastle University Boat Club will be 7th. now move to race 99, Division 4 of the Women's Masters Single Scull in the field that we have. Lane 2, Leichhardt M. Barak, who is starting off 22 seconds. Louise Termine of Lake Macquarie is in lane number 3, also off 22 seconds. And the same start there for Pam Nash of Black Mountain in lane number 4. Catherine Maxwell of Glebe in lane 5 is the last of those 4 scullers that had to wait on the line for 22 seconds. Pal Grady of Nepean Rowing Club is in lane 6 off 13 seconds, and the 2 front markers are on the grandstand side of the course. Susan Kemp of Newcastle and Susan Walter of North Shore, they were both off go. So if you've not seen Masters rowing before, there is an age-based handicap system, and it's a system that involves a lot of data that Mark Mussered in South Australia compiles based on World Rowing Masters regattas, and comes up with these Masters age-based handicaps to allow comparison of apples versus apples. Some great footage here on the live stream as we look at Catherine Maxwell of Glebe. They're in lane number 5, and just on her stroke side is Pamela Nash of Black Mountain in the red colours, and then we're starting to see now over on the right of the screen, or on the bow side of Catherine Maxwell, Palmina Grady of Nepean, coached by Daniel Waddell. And Palmina Grady is really pushing through here and chewing into these or the 13 seconds she had to give Susan Kemp and Susan Walter in lanes 7 and 8. And she's going to go pretty close to picking up a lot of this by the halfway mark. M. Barak over on the far side of the course, faring the best of the back markers. And now we come up to the halfway mark. Still Susan Walter with a very slender advantage, but Palmina Grady and now M. Barak. M. Barak is now pushed to the front, so a very strong first 500 from the powerful sculler coached by Steve Sherry. She's moved across from the Mossman Club in the off-season, joining Leichhardt, and coached by the evergreen Stephen Sherry. So we'll see how taxing these first 500s have been on these scullers that have really pushed through and clawed back the stagger. Pamela Nash is part of the ACT Interstate Masters quad scull just 6 months ago, and as you'd expect, faring very well towards the centre of the course. And then Catherine Maxwell is back in 6th position. Louise Termine of Lake Macquarie, a non-starter in this one by the look of it. So coming up through the 1750 metre mark, and it is M. Barak of Leichhardt that has the lead. She has some clear water now over the rest of the field. Pamela Nash starting to push her way through. Palmina Grady of Nepean still in 3rd spot. And the 2 H category rowers, Susan Kemp and Susan Walter on this side, are having a good little tussle in that race for 4th position. And Catherine Maxwell still holding down 6 and putting in a strong performance there in lane number 5. So a very good race going on for 2nd spot. Pamela Nash in the yellow boat, and Palmina Grady in lane number 6, fighting it out. Looks like Nash just started to put her bow in front. Over on the towards the southern side of the course, it is M. Barak of Leichhardt Rowing Club, still with clear water, still looking very strong, and he's going to take this one out by a couple of boat lengths in the end. So Barak of Leichhardt takes out Division 4 of the Women's Masters Single Scull. Second to Pam Nash of Black Mountain. Palmina Grady of Nepean will be 3rd. And Susan Walter with about a length to the good of Susan Kemp in that race for 4th. Kemp will be 5th of Newcastle. And then back to Catherine Maxwell of Glebe in 6th position. So Catherine Maxwell of Glebe crossing the line. That concludes Division 4 of the Women's Masters Single Scull Race 99. We now move to Race 100, Division 1 of the Men's Masters Double Scull. Lane 4 is Newcastle Drummoyne Composite, Nicholas Brown of Drummoyne and Brad Smith of Newcastle, coached by Robin Mackney. In Lane 5, Mark Partridge of St George and Ian Mongan of Black Mountain. Lane 6, Glebe, Ken Major and Robert Dallimore. And in lane number 7, Stuart Boyd and Jeremy Smith of Lake Macquarie. So the two crews closest to the grandstand, Major and Dallimore, and Boyd and Smith started off go, and the other two trying to claw back a 5-second handicap, and one that has clawed back some of that is Mark Partridge and Ian Mongan. They're reunited once more. Mark Partridge now at St George Rowing Club. And these two were in Black Mountain colours only less than a decade ago, and back rowing together now in pairs, fours, quads, and pretty much every boat class possible. And they're seeing if they can reel in Kenneth Major and Robert Dallimore of Glebe. Nicholas Brown and Brad Smith have just started to move through the Lake Macquarie crew of Boyd and Smith and into 3rd spot. And we'll see if they've got a sprint that they're able in this last 250 metres try and make an impression on the Glebe boat at the head of the field. So still Glebe with the advantage. Robert Dallimore in the stroke seat, Ken Major in the bow seat. And of course Ken Major's long-time crewmate Brad Smith is now in the Newcastle colours. He's the head of rowing at Newcastle Grammar School, and they're trying to reel in the Black Mountain crew. Mongan in the red colours of Black Mountain and Partridge in the red and white of St George, seeing if they can make an impression. But Glebe still looking strong, and with about half a length of the good, and it looks like they're going to hold off the crew from Black Mountain St George. Very good race for second. Glebe first, second to Black Mountain St George, third to Newcastle Drummoyne, and then in 4th spot we will have the crew from Lake Macquarie, Stuart Boyd and Jeremy Smith. So a very fine win there to Glebe Rowing Club in the Men's Masters Double Scull. And we now move to presentation for race 99, a Division 4 of the Women's Masters Single Scull, and the winner representing Leichhardt Rowing Club, M. Barak, coached by Steve Sherry. And race 101 is underway. Well, it's underway for some. David Kay and Len Walter in lane number 7. They're the crew off go. The others sitting there patiently on the start line for 38 seconds or more. The next crew to go off will be Glebe in lane number 6, closest to us, or the bottom of the screen. Mark McCune and Mark Tejan. And then off 45 seconds, we'll have the crews in lanes 3, 4 and 5. Drummoyne's Charles Hamilton and Bruce Egan. Harry Fine and Lawrence Nethery, and Nick Johnson and Chris Walsh. So McCune and Tejan are away, and we'll see the others now just starting to push off and see if they can reel in the J category crew. So David Kay and Len Walter, average age of 80 years or more. And they're actually bang on 80. And they're in lane at number 7. Of course, less than a month's time, the Masters rower's birthday occurs, 1st of January, and all these competitors' ages is the age in which you turn that year. So they'll all go up a year, and you'll see at things like the Tari Summer Regatta some changes in the handicaps from these competitors that race each other quite often. So David Kay and Len Walter still with the advantage. That 38-second lead has been clawed down a little bit. They're just starting to try and move their way back towards the centre of their lane. And that's them on screen at the moment. David Kay and Len Walter from North Shore Rowing Club based in Longueville. And it was 38 seconds that the Glebe crew started in arrears. And then a further 7 seconds back to the 3 crews on the southern side of the course. So Glebe next through. And it doesn't look like they've relinquished too much to the North Shore crew of Nick Johnson and Chris Walsh. Harry Fine and Lawrence Nethery are the Mossman crew in 4th position, and Charles Hamilton and Bruce Egan of Drummoyne currently in 5th. That'll be the question here as to whether David Kay and Len Walter of North Shore can hold on and fend off Mark McCune and Mark Tejan of Glebe. Mossman and North Shore having a good old tussle for the 3rd spot as they start to move their way through the 1700 metre mark. And Drummoyne still in 5th position. So the last quarter of the race to go for the race leaders, David Kay and Len Walter. And they're every chance here to hold on. Tejan and McCune of Glebe have started to claw them back, but will it be enough? Mossman now is just starting to put on a bit of a push in that battle they've been having with North Shore all the way down the course. We know Chris Walsh in the North Shore boat, very determined, along with Nick Johnson in there, so they'll be really putting plenty through their foot stretcher to try and hold on to 3rd place here. But the race lead, North Shore still holding on with less than 50 metres to go. There's still a couple of lengths to the good. And David Kay and Len Walter set to take out Division 2 of the Men's Masters Double Scull. So first North Shore, second will be Glebe's Mark McCune and Mark Tejan. And Mossman, spirited second half of the race. They've rode through North Shore and claimed 3rd spot. North Shore's Johnson and Walsh 4th, and Hamilton and Egan of Drummoyne will complete the field of 5 in race 101, Division 2 of the Men's Masters Double Scull. And we're about to get underway here in race 102. Division 1 of the women's C and D grade double scull. These are all the C grade crews. And they're underway in the field that we have. UNSW is a scratching out of lane number 2 in lane 3. Newcastle Rowing Club. Charlotte Holford and Phoebe Sanders. Belinda Brigham and Jane Hutchison of Leichhardt in lane 4. Samantha Backler and Charlotte Sanix of University of New South Wales in lane 5. In lane 6, Glebes, Kelly Clifton and Ella Barnard. And in lane 7, Elizabeth Sandow and Evangeline Broad of Corowa. So it's been a very good start from Backler and Stanix of the University of New South Wales. They're coached by Chris Burns. And Kelly Clifton and Ella Barnard of Glebe trying to move out with them. So that's the Leichhardt crew at the left of screen there, and in the centre, Samantha Backler and Charlotte Stanix of UNSW, and Clifton and Barnard of Glebe, where the head of the race is between those two boats. University of New South Wales had a very, very good weekend down at the head of the Yarra. 2 of their 8s taking out category wins. A very successful time for the crew or the club, and in this crew, Charlotte Stanix has taken up a job interstate, and we done a very, very good job there as president of the club, and fighting hard here to stay with the race leaders from Glebe, Ella Barnard and the young Kelly Clifton. Kelly Clifton only 14 years of age, I think, in this Glebe boat, and rose with level of maturity and experience. And you can see they're just pushed out to just over a boat length's advantage over the University of New South Wales. And those two have a couple of boat lengths then to Newcastle Rowing Club, and then followed by Leichhardt's Brigham and Hutchison, and then Sandow and Broad of Corowa in 5th position. So that's the University of New South Wales on screen, less than 2 lengths down on the race leaders Glebe. Newcastle Rowing Club trying to hold off the Leichhardt crew. The very experienced Belinda Brigham and Jane Hutchison have been a long time pair and double scull combination. And they've got a little bit of work to do if they're going to try and improve on their current 4th position. Awards now being presented to Division number 2 of the men's Masters double scull. David Kay and Len Walter of North Shore were the winners of race 101. So congratulations, North Shore. And as we move to race 102, Kelly Clifton and Ella Barnard looking very strong and composed out in front, getting that boat to run for them in between strokes, and you're able to sort of look out the corner of their eye and see the UNSW crew still a couple of lengths in arrears. So a strong performance coming from this Glebe crew. They match up very, very well, these two. Looking resplendent with the tinsel on the inner part of the shaft of the blades. And Glebe Rowing Club set to take out Division 1 of the women's C and D grade double sculls. So the C grade division won by Glebe. University of New South Wales going to take 2nd spot. And then it'll be back to Newcastle Rowing Club in 3rd, Leichhardt in 4th, and Corowa in 5th. And we're underway in race 103, Division 2 of the Women's C and D grade double scull. This is the D grade division with Hunter Valley Grammar School in lane number 3, Miller Lil Henville and Kate Lonergan. In lane 4, Glebes Camille Rains Greenow and Ming Yang, coached by Cecile Ferrer. And in lane 5, Newcastle University Boat Club, Teresa Chadwick and Chantel Lindsay. And in lane number 6, University of New South Wales, Lily Sinogles and Caitlin Mulquinny, coached by Chris Burns. And it is Newcastle University Boat Club. We're all in the centre of the screen here, out to an advantage over University of New South Wales. And then a good race going on between Hunter Valley Grammar School and Glebe. A very good race going on between lanes 5 and 6, Newcastle University and University of New South Wales, as they start to make their way up to a 400 metre mark. Just to the left of our screen is the Glebe crew of Rains Greenow and Yang. And they're still staying in contact with Hunter Valley Grammar School on their stroke side. Speaking of Glebe Rowing Club, we move to presentations for race 102, Division 1 of the Women's C and D grade double scull. And the winners, Glebe Rowing Club, Kelly Clifton and Ella Barnard. Congratulations, Glebe. And in race 103, we saw Newcastle University, Teresa Chadwick and Chantel Lindsay leading through the halfway mark, but Sinogles and Mulquinny of University of New South Wales have been pretty relentless in that second 250, and they've got that margin down to about half a boat length. And then Hunter Valley Grammar School in third and Glebe in fourth position. So a very good race going on at the head of the field, and I think this third 250 will be decisive. It looks like there's been a counter push from the Newcastle University crew, Chadwick and Lindsay. And will that be enough to fend off University of New South Wales? I think this one's going to go right down to the wire. And it looks like the University of New South Wales have started to respond as well. So they're coming up to the 1750 metre mark. University of New South Wales and Newcastle University fighting it out. See who can hang on in this one. It's going to be hurting about now, and these two crews really pushing. And they start their builds for the finish. Just about 200 metres left to go. The University of New South Wales in the lead. Newcastle University, who headed this race for the bulk so far. Going to see if they can respond. In third, we have Hunter Valley Grammar School, Lil Henville and Lonergan, and Rains Greenow and Yang of Glebe in fourth position. So the University of New South Wales looking very lively on this side of the course. Lane number 6, Sinogles and Mulquinny. They're out to just over a boat length from Newcastle University Boat Club. And the University of New South Wales crew, coached by Chris Burns, who's done a very, very good job in developing a lot of young people at UNSW. And his crew is going to take out Division 2 of the Women's C and D grade double scull. So first UNSW, second to NUBC. And then they'll be followed by Hunter Valley Grammar School in third place. And in fourth will be Rains Greenow and Yang of Glebe. And hot on the heels of race 103 is race 104, the mixed quad scull. And we have in lane number 2, the University of Queensland, Kaylee Mitchell, Samuel Forbes, Scarlett Woodbury, Mac Russell, coached by Phil Bourguignon, and Michael Russell. Hunter Valley Grammar School in lane 3, Georgia Foster, Emma Purdy, Thomas Foster, Angus Purdy. In lane 4, UNSW, Harry O'Donnell, Alex Bohm, Anna Ristic, and Lisa Matthews, coached by Cameron Butler and Chris Burns. And then we have Katrina Shanahan, Julie Lau, Anthony Hayworth, David Page of Drummoyne in lane 5. Lane 6, Penrith, Gary Katera, Madison Joiners, Liam Taylor, and Bradley Moran, coached by Lindsay Callaghan and Charlotte Toos Cutler. And in lane number 8, Drummoyne, Carolyn Vernon, Gary Foster, Gabriel Haythornthwaite, and Wendy Roncolado. I think they might have made a couple of substitutions in that boat. I think Vernon and Foster could be out of that boat, but that's not of concern to Penrith Rowing Club, the race leaders here, coached by Charlotte Toos Cutler and Lindsay Callaghan. They're out well clear of the University of Queensland over on the far side of the course and the University of New South Wales in lane number 4. These three crews well clear of the 4th place Drummoyne crew. And then it's back to the crew from Drummoyne in 5th place and Hunter Valley Grammar School in 6th place. A Penrith Rowing Club set to take out the mixed quad scull race 104. Katera, Joiners, Taylor and Moran victorious. You see McIntyre, Russell over on the far side of the course in lane 2, really accelerating into the finish there, and they claim 2nd spot ahead of the University of New South Wales in 3rd, then followed by a couple of crews from Drummoyne. This looks like Richard Jones subbing into the 2 seat there, and Rowena Stewart into the bow seat. So it was Haythornthwaite, Roncolado, Jones and Stewart. They were 4th. Ahead of Shanahan, Lau, Hayworth and Page in 5th. And Hunter Valley Grammar School's Foster and Purdy, they finish in 6th position. And our next presentation is for the women's C and D grade double scull division number 2. And the winners representing the University of New South Wales, Lily Sinogles and Caitlin Mulquinny, coached by Chris Burns. Race 105 underway, and it is in lane 3, University of New South Wales, Anthony Ball and Fraser Wilson, coached by Cam Butler. In lane 4, North Shore, Clement Sang, Kieran Shecker, coached by John James. Hunter Valley Grammar School in lane 5, Will Stedman and Samuel Lonergan. And in lane 6, University of New South Wales, Robbie Ireland and Eskil Zachrison, coached by Chris Burns and Cam Butler. And see 2 UNSW crews on the flanks of the field that lead this one. Ball and Wilson in 1st place, Ireland and Zachrison in 2nd, and then they're followed by Hunter Valley Grammar School in 3rd and Sang and Shecker of North Shore in 4th place. Starting to come up through the halfway mark, and just over length ahead is the crew of Ball and Wilson. And certainly Hunter Valley Grammar School, Stedman and Lonergan not out of it. They're only about 2.5 lengths down on the race leaders with 500 metres to go. The leading boat just starting to make their way up past the 1750 metre mark. Anthony Ball and Fraser Wilson still ahead of Ireland and Zachrison of the University of New South Wales, and Hunter Valley Grammar School seeing if they can mount a sprint here and try and improve on their current third place position. North Shore looks set to finish fourth in this one. So with 120 metres to go, University of New South Wales looks set for a 1-2 in this one, but which way will it be? Will it be Ball and Wilson who've led all the way, or can Ireland and Zachrison mount a last sprint here to try and overturn the result? So only 50 metres left to cover. Still the crew in lane number 3 with about a boat length. There might be just enough of a buffer if they can keep it clean to hold on and take out race 105. So Anthony Ball and Fraser Wilson will be the head of a 1-2 here for the University of New South Wales. And then third will go to Hunter Valley Grammar School, and fourth place North Shore as we move to presentations for race 104, the mixed quad scull, and the winners representing Penrith Rowing Club, Gary Katera, Madison Joiners, Liam Taylor, Bradley Moran, and they're coached by Lindsay Callaghan and Charlotte Toos Cutler. Congratulations, Penrith Rowing Club. This next presentation is for race 105, the men's C and D grade double scull, and the winners representing the University of New South Wales, Anthony Ball and Fraser Wilson, coached by Cameron Butler. And Women's Masters double scull is race 106 and Division 1. Currently in progress in the field that we have Olivia Zargo and Lisa Matthews of the University of New South Wales in lane number 2. They started off 4 seconds. Off 3 seconds in lane number 3, Drummoyne, Adriana Guthrie and Alexandra Gregg. Also off 3 seconds in lane number 4, Glebe, Belindy Rowe and Jacqueline Harris. In lane 5, also off 3 seconds, Georgina Owens and Catherine McKeever of Shoalhaven. And then the 3 front markers on this side of the course, Belinda Brigham and Jane Hutchison of Leichhardt. In lane 7, Kate Wareham and Anne Skilton of Glebe and Kirsten Berry and Trudy MacDonald of Lake Macquarie. And it looks like we might have started without the Shoalhaven boat, so a field of 7 has come down to 6. And leading boats just coming up to about 460 or so metres covered, and that's the one on screen, Trudy MacDonald and Kirsten Berry. And a good win in their Masters pair yesterday, and they've still got a slight advantage over the crew over on the far side of the course, the University of New South Wales crew, and a very good tussle. So University of New South Wales have picked up 4 seconds on them in the first 500 metres, and we'll see how much that has taken out of them, whether they've still able to march on with it, or whether they've spent all their pennies in the first half of this one. And that's the Drummoyne crew of Guthrie and Gregg just passing through the 1,000-metre mark. And look on screen at Brigham and Hutchison alongside Wareham and Skilton. They're the 2 boats there on screen. Leichhardt in the white colours, Glebe just to the right of screen in the maroon. And look to be moving on with it over on the far side of the course. The University of New South Wales, far left of screen there. Olivia Zargo and Lisa Matthews, coached by Chris Burns. Olivia Zargo was in the Australian junior rowing team. She's now 28 years of age. And with Lisa Matthews, so they're an A category crew, the youngest age category in the Masters racing. They've moved to the front. Lake Macquarie in second spot. In Glebe, in third we have Glebe, Belindy Rowe and Jacqueline Harris. And then followed by Leichhardt in fourth, Wareham and Skilton of Glebe in fifth, and Guthrie and Gregg of Drummoyne in sixth position. So it's been a very good morning so far for the University of New South Wales. Only been 10 races conducted so far, and UNSW about to claim, I think, their 3rd or 4th win so far. So a very good morning so far for them. Zargo and Matthews going to take out Division 1 of the Women's Masters double scull. The early race leaders, Kirsten Berry and Trudy MacDonald of Lake Macquarie. They're second. Third to Rowe and Harris of Glebe. And they're followed home by Brigham and Hutchison of Leichhardt in fourth, Wareham and Skilton of Glebe in fifth, and Guthrie and Gregg, Drummoyne in sixth position.
Yeah, send it to the finish! Go, girls! Yeah, Drummoyne! 3 more straight!
So unofficial time for Zargo and Matthews, 3:54.17. White flag having been shown to the crews, and now we move to Division 2 of the Women's Masters double scull. It's race 107. In lane 2, Corowa, Susan Scott and Julie Underwood, coached by Wesley Canny. In lane 3, North Shore, Zeta Briones and Ruth Gibson, coached by Guy Morgan. In lane 4, Lake Macquarie, Rayleigh Ison and Michelle Doozle. In lane 5, North Shore, Louise McCoach and Olivia Tonge, coached by Guy Morgan. And those 4 crews all off 5 seconds, and the crews on this side all off go. Newcastle, Susan Demar and Bonnie Tratt in lane 6. In lane 7, North Shore's Annalise Appleton and Joe Hodgkinson, coached by John James and David Kay. And on this side, the race leaders, Kathleen Hextall and Renata Ipma of Drummoyne. And they're about nearly 3 boat lengths to the good. So a very strong lead here from the Drummoyne crew. They were 1 and 2 in their earlier division of the single scull. And it's a combination that's been together for quite some time now. And Renata having moved across to Drummoyne in the off-season. And no surprise to see them going successfully here. Second spot we have Louise McCoach and Olivia Tonge of North Shore. And a very good race between Appleton and Hodgkinson of North Shore, Scott and Underwood of Corowa, Brionas and Gibson of North Shore, and Ison and Doozle of Lake Macquarie. And the Newcastle crew, Deemer and Tratt, they're back in 7th position, just starting to lose a little bit of contact with the other boats that are engrossed in a great battle. So less than 200 metres to go for the race leaders. Drummoyne Rowing Club, Kathleen Hextall and Renata Ipma. And they're leading them a merry dance here. Ahead of the second place crew, McCoach and Tonge. And over on the far side, Corowa just leading Lake Macquarie, then back to the 2 crews from North Shore, Brionas and Gibson, and Appleton and Hodgkinson, and in final place, Demar and Tratt. So combining very well at the head of the field, Renata Ipma and Kathleen Hextall, and they will take out Division 2 of the Women's Masters double scull. Fine win there. Nearly 3 boat lengths ahead of North Shore's Louise McCoach and Olivia Tonge. Third, Corowa. Come up trumps in that good race going on between lanes 2, 3 and 4. Fourth goes to Ison and Doozle of Lake Macquarie. 5th to North Shore's Brionas and Gibson. 6th to Appleton and Hodgkinson of North Shore. And 7th to Newcastle Rowing Club. We now move to presentations for race 106, Division 1 of the Women's Masters double scull. And the winners representing the University of New South Wales, Olivia Zargo and Lisa Matthews, coached by Chris Burns. The third and final division of the Women's Masters double scull lining up at the start. And we have in lane 2, St George, Joanne Ward and Jenny Wilson, coached by Bruce Williams. They're going to start off 6 seconds along with Anne Harkham and Tess Fearon of Lake Macquarie in lane 3. And in lane 4 is Glebes, Catherine Maxwell and Sarah Norris. And in lane 5 off go is Pam Nash and Christine McCready of Black Mountain and St George. Lane 6 is vacant with North Shore scratching. Shoalhaven's Robin Wakefield and Linda Eddington are in lane number 7, and Julie Bowman and Rhonda Decker of North Shore are in lane number 8. So they've all started to move off the start as we now move to presentation for Division 2 of the Women's Masters Double Scull. And the winners representing Drummoyne Rowing Club, Kathleen Hextall and Renata Ipma. Congratulations, Drummoyne Rowing Club, winners of Division 2 of the Women's Masters Double Scull. So race 108, and we're looking at the North Shore crew, Julie Bohm and Rhonda Decker, coached by Richard Stacey. Now started to switch to crew alongside of them, and that is the Shoalhaven crew, Robin Wakefield and Linda Eddington, coached by David Eddington. So it is the St George Composite leading, one of the front markers, Pamela Nash and Christine McCready, coached by Bruce Williams. They're leading as they come up just past 400 metres covered. And they lead from Wakefield and Eddington of Shoalhaven, and then also the Harkham and Fearon of Lake Macquarie, and Ward and Wilson of St George over on the far side of the course. They're now just starting to make their way through the halfway mark. And it is the St George Black Mountain crew with the advantage over Shoalhaven. Lake Macquarie just only by about half a canvas ahead of St George in that race for third place. They're the top four. North Shore, Bohm and Decker are next in fifth, and then followed by Glebes, Maxwell and Norris in sixth position. So can the younger E crews over towards the far side, Harkham and Fearon of Lake Macquarie and Ward and Wilson of St George, make an impression on Pamela Nash and Christine McCready of Black Mountain and St George respectively, as they lead this race coming into the last 250 metres. Wakefield and Eddington doing a sterling job of trying to hang on here and hold off the crews over in the lower numbered lanes. Let's see if they can hold on to a top three placing in this one. North Shore seem destined for fifth position, and likewise Glebe for sixth. So we'll see what the placing is going to look like in this last couple of 100 metres for the race leaders and the crews on the southern side of this course as they start to sort themselves out. So Pamela Nash in the bow seat, Christine McCready in the stroke seat. Two very, very experienced oarswomen, and a position that they've been in many, many times before in single sculls and crew boats, and they look to be controlling this one very, very well. A great battle going on for second spot. Lake Macquarie is still with their bow ahead of St George. And Shoalhaven trying to hold on for third place with the St George crew over on the far side of the course. St George have just moved ahead. The head of the field though, Black Mountain and St George claim the race win. Pamela Nash and Christine McCready. Second will be Harkham and Fearon of Lake Macquarie Rowing Club. Third to St George, Ward and Wilson, and they're followed by Wakefield and Eddington of Shoalhaven in fourth position. Bohm and Decker of North Shore next. They come up to the line with just another couple of strokes to go, and they'll cross in fifth position, and then back to Catherine Maxwell and Sarah Norris of Glebe in sixth place. Race 109 is Division 1 of the Men's Masters Single Scull. And the start list that we have Andreas Roman of Abbotsford in lane number 1, coached by Steve Sherry. In lane 2, Endeavour's Alex Bruton. In lane 3, Mohammed Eid of the University of New South Wales. Christopher Bonamini of Endeavour is in lane number 4. In lane 5 from St George, Christopher Jones, coached by Bruce Williams. In lane 6, James Halliday of the University of New South Wales. Alexander Doidge of Mossman is scratching out of lane 7. And then we have Christopher Nish of Glebe in lane 8. And Andrew McEncrow of the University of New South Wales in lane number 9. And we saw Halliday and McEncrow very, very good yesterday in the Masters pairs, and also in the there's a Masters 4. So we'll see what they're like in the single sculls. You'd expect them to be very, very strong in this one. This next presentation is for race 108, Division 3 of the Women's Masters Double Scull. And the winners representing Black Mountain Rowing Club, Pamela Nash, and St George Rowing Club, Christine McCready. They're coached by Bruce Williams. The final 2 races of the Reindeer Regatta are either upon us or about to be, and race 109 is underway. The 4 scullers on the northern side of the course were all off go. Christopher Jones of St George, James Halliday of UNSW, Christopher Nish of Glebe, and Andrew McEncrow of UNSW. They're the ones currently on screen. Looking at James Halliday of the University of New South Wales. He was a very good job coaching at North Sydney Girls over the last few seasons, and he was in the squad for the New South Wales Masters Men's 8. And you see to the right of screen Christopher Nish of Glebe, just trailing Andrew McEncrow of the University of New South Wales, who's spent a lot of time on his single sculling in the last couple of seasons and is paying dividends over on this side of the course. So that's where the leaders are coming from. Lanes 6 through to 9, and the back markers giving them up to 8 seconds. And of those, Alex Bruton of Endeavour is faring the best of the 4 over on the southern side of the course, as the boats just start to make their way through the halfway mark. McEncrow leading, and he leads from Christopher Jones. James Halliday of University of New South Wales is in 3rd, and Christopher Nish of Glebe is in 4th, and then followed by Bruton of Endeavour, Roman of Abbotsford, and then just now passing through is Christopher Bonamini of Endeavour and Mohammed Eid of the University of New South Wales. So all 8 scullers passing through the halfway mark. In this field being led by Andrew McEncrow. He's looking very strong here. He doesn't look to be shortening up or tightening up here in lane number 9. Continuing to extend his advantage over Christopher Jones of St George and James Halliday of the University of New South Wales. Bruton and Roman in lanes 2 and 1 respectively are starting to really push each other along, and that may see them start to make their way and move ahead of Christopher Niche of Glebe in that race for 4th position. So we'll see how that one sort of pans out over this next 250 metres. As James Halliday of the University of New South Wales just still with a bit of an overlap with Christopher Jones of St George in that race for 2nd spot. They'll need to pull out something special here if they're going to try and catch Andrew McEncrow of the University of New South Wales in that reverse wing rigger boat. He's leading this one coming in the last 100 metres, and he leads quite comfortably. Looking very strong. Looks like it'll be the second time today we've seen a Hudson single win out of lane number 9. Andrew McEncrow of the University of New South Wales claiming 1st place. Christopher Jones has been pushed all the way down the course by James Halliday of the University of New South Wales. They'll be 2nd and 3rd respectively. And Christopher Niche of Glebe is just going to hold on from the 2 scullers over on the far side of the course. Niche in 4th. Andreas Romans had a good second half of the race. He's moved ahead of Alex Bruton to claim 5th. Bruton 6th. And then followed by Christopher Bonamini of Endeavour. Will be 7th, and in 8th place, Mohammed Eid of the University of New South Wales. And we're underway in race 110, last race of the Reindeer Regatta. And it is Division 2 of the Men's Masters Single Scull. In lane 1, David Hislop of Newcastle University. Lane 2, Mark Whittaker of Shoalhaven. Lane 3, Jeremy Smith of Lake Macquarie. In lane 4, Harry Fine of Mossman. Bruce Egan of Drummoyne is in lane 5. Mark Tejan, the Glebe president, in lane number 6. In lane 7, Peter Hayes of Centenary. Mark McCune of Glebe is in lane 8, and Andrew Sapansky of Penrith Rowing Club in lane number 9. And it is Mark Tejan of Glebe in his last race. It'll be his last 1,000 metre race as a G competitor. He'll go into the H category on January 1 and leads this one through the halfway mark, and he leads from Peter Hayes of Centenary Rowing Club. These two start 10 seconds behind Andrew Sapansky, and they've caught up that deficit. And we'll see if they can hold off the younger scullers over towards the far side of the course. Jeremy Smith making a good impression in lane number 3. Mark Whittaker trying to go with him of Shoalhaven. And Mark McCune of Glebe in lane number 8 also towards the head of this field. So about 6 scullers here. And the top 3 placings could go any which of those ways. Tejan looking the best of them in his trademark red boat. And we now move to presentation for race 109, division number 1 of the Men's Masters Single Scull. And the winner representing the University of New South Wales, Andrew McEncrow. And last year's winner of the category presenting that to him. Looks like Alex Doidge down there making the presentation. And a great race going on here. Tejan looked to have it pretty much in the bag, but a good race going on. And it's Mark Whitaker of Shoalhaven that's really pushing along strongly. Second from the far side of the course. Just ahead of him is Jeremy Smith. And those two are going to challenge Tejan all the way to the line here. It's going to be a great race between these top three. And then followed by good battle between David Hislop on the far side and Peter Hayes of Centenary in lane 7 and Mark McCune of Glebe in lane number 8. So can Tejan hold on here, or is Jeremy Smith going to pinch it off him in the last couple of strokes? Mark Tejan still with the advantage and just another 3 strokes to go, and it looks like Mark Tejan's just going to hold on ahead of Jeremy Smith of Lake Macquarie in 2nd spot, Mark Whitaker of Shoalhaven 3rd, and then followed by David Hislop of Newcastle University Boat Club in 4th position, Mark McCune of Glebe 5th, Peter Hayes of Centenary in 6th position, Harry Fine of Mossman 7th, followed by Bruce Egan of Drummoyne in 8th place, and Andrew Sapansky of Penrith in 9th position. So that will conclude the racing. We'll have a few more presentations from the Reindeer Regatta, and then we'll join you at around 10 o'clock for the start of the New South Wales Sprint Championships with the racing over 500 metres. So unofficial time 4:19.26 for Mark Tejan as Andrew Sapansky crosses the line to conclude racing at the 2023 Reindeer Regatta.